Um, I have no English translation for the word Zwischenstationen when we decided that in our exhibition that anyhow does not speak about stations in the English title, but about the name of the streetcar, which is Desire. But even a streetcar that has the name Desire has some in-between stops. Let's put it like this. And so if we don't be able to talk about the big utopias and the solutions for everything, we at least could maneuver between a few in-between stops. And for tonight, I'm glad that so many people showed up, even if we do all this, as you already realized, in English tonight. I'm very honored and very glad that we have two exceptional guests tonight, Avraham Burg and Sari Nusseibeh. They are both thinkers who really go in between not only stations, but in between concepts, preconceptions, exceptions, ideologies, camps, and nationhoods. And they were both raised in Jerusalem. They still live, in a way, in Jerusalem, or at the periphery, at least, of Jerusalem today. They were both born into families who were not unimportant in forming the history of Israel and Palestine in the 20th century, to say the least. And in these families, the dreams of a future of Jerusalem was not exactly the same, and we will also talk about that a little, but both crossed borders in their thoughts, in their activities, in their actions during the last 20 years in a way that many thought would be utopian, others would say are the only one that are realistic. And we would love to see, in talking with each other and presenting views and ideas about that city, how from the contradicting memories of that place could evolve not only some kind of dialogue, but really some kind of mutual interests and some ideas for a future for this city. I start to introduce with him Avraham Burg first, who was born in 1955 in Jerusalem as the son of a famous politician of many governments of the State of Israel, the national religious leader Yosef Burg. Avraham was active in the Israeli peace movement, peace camp, for many years. He also was elected in 1988 for the Labour Party into the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, and between 1995 and 1999, he even served as the chairman of the Jewish Agency in the World Zionist Organization. And in 1999, he again returned to the Knesset and became Speaker of the House, so President of the Israeli Parliament. In 2004, he withdrawn in a way from active politics, at least from active parliamentary and party politics, and used the freedom that he gained by writing books. One was also translated into German and appeared under the German title Hitler besiegen, warum sich Israel endlich vom Holocaust lösen muss. That was in 2009. In 2012, his book Very Near to You, Human Readings of the Torah, appeared. It's a thought-provoking book about the question what the Torah, from a critical perspective, read anew, could tell about the contemporary challenges and moral dilemmata of today. And Avraham Burg for many years is supporting various political initiatives that try to surmount, to overcome the conflict of Israel and Palestine by daring to think about alternatives to the logic of partition, to the so-called two-state solution. And a few weeks, or now it's already a few months ago, your autobiography appeared here, Come the Days, and I just hope that this book also will find a German publisher to make it possible to read for all of us, this book. It's not the first time that you're here. I'm glad that after having you here for the opening of Family Affairs, Familienaufstellung 2 years ago, you're here again in this auditorium of Salomon Sulzer. You might say something about that later on as well. Sari Nusseibeh was born 1949 in Damascus, but that happened in Damascus was not of a perfect choice of your parents, I suppose. So that was also be a subject of tonight. But you grew up in Eastern Jerusalem, and you also grew up as the son of a kind of noble family of Jerusalem. The Nusseibehs for many, many centuries kept the key, or they didn't keep it, they opened the doors of the Church of Sepulchre, so were active in a field that was not particularly Muslim stuff, but you helped the different Christian denominations that have to share that sacred space, not to be too violent to each other, and to keep affairs a bit of silent and peaceful between the different Christian denominations by keeping the key and opening the door and closing the door every morning and night. But that is long history of your family. Your father was a lawyer and also a politician, serving once in the Jordanian government in the time when East Jerusalem and the West Bank was part of Jordan. He is teaching philosophy for many years after having studied in Oxford and Harvard in Islamic philosophy, and teaching for many years at the Quds University in East Jerusalem, and you served there as the president of Quds University from 1995 till 2014. And besides this academic career as a philosopher, a political philosopher, also Sari Nusseibeh was active as a political activist and also as a writer. And not only for a few years, Sari Nusseibeh served as the official representative of the PLO in Jerusalem. He also belonged to many initiatives that in the 80s, particularly late 80s, tried also to overcome the conflict, and behind the scene trying to engage in negotiations of a possible solution for the conflict by negotiations between Israel and Palestine. There is one advantage you have. You already published your autobiography years ago, and also in German. You can have it outside. Es war einmal ein Land, ein Leben in Palästina, which appeared in 2009. And you also published a very self-critical kind of account of your dreams of the two-state solution, your political activities for it, but also a kind of a disillusion with this concept and the attempt of finding other ways to think about a possible future for the two communities that live on that territory between the Jordan and the sea. Ein Staat für Palästina, Plädoyer für eine Zivilgesellschaft in Nahost, that appeared in 2012 in a German edition. And right now he's writing a book about the story of reason in Islam, which also I hope will appear in maybe even German, but at least in English. And he just today told me the secret that he's also working on the children's book about people in Jerusalem. We are waiting for that as much as we can.
I worked on this before, but as a child.
But it's not yet published. So that's just like as a start to you have an idea with whom we talk tonight. I would love to ask both of them, and starting with Sari, to elaborate some memories about the Jerusalem that you grew up in, what this city meant for you, both of you, and where it was led to, and also maybe share some ideas about its future. So it's a very general task that I gave the two speakers tonight, and I just want to hear from Sari your point of view with this.